You're about to watch the moment in which Gavin Newsom is asked an actual question about security and safety in California, and well, he glitches out. This clip, but by the way, his body language was influenced by none other than Donald Trump, who is apparently taking a well-deserved break for this week before having all sorts of theories. But the fact is that Donald Trump, a few days ago, it was on Tuesday, he said something about Gavin Newsom's body language that might have affected him deeply.
We have an incompetent governor in California, Gavin. I know him very well. He's incompetent. He's a nice guy, looks good. Hi, everybody. How you doing? He's got some strange hand action going. I don't know what the hell his problem is. It's a little weird, to be honest. There's a little something shaky going on there. But, you know, all he has to do is call me and say, we have the Olympics coming up. We want to make it really good and safe. And I'll put some really good, great American patriots in there, and you won't have any problems. Don't forget, it's loaded up.
We've expanded.
So that was Trump having two remarks about Gavin Newsom. Not only his wacky, we have analyzed that a couple times in this channel, how he begins to talk and like play the maracas and, especially when he's on his podcast or even more on other people's podcasts. No, what happened in the very next press conference of Gavin Newsom talking about, well, actually, security. He began with a word salad just before the question that led him to just finish the interview on the press conference on the spot because, well, he was literally cornered. This was his body language with the softball questions.
Spent those operations in Bakersfield, and we've received additional requests in other parts of the state. And that's what we wanted to highlight here today, that we're going to be expanding this operation, building on the success that is now included over 9,000 arrests statewide.
You notice that he's not moving his hands at all. He's keeping them fingers crossed on the table, but his thumbs don't seem to catch a break. I mean, he's trying to vent that nervousness because he knows that this topic is important, because he wants to portray that California is actually safe, which we know that that's been a bit difficult. Maybe that's the word for the past couple, years, decades, I don't know. It's like, this is a huge problem, and you see that the body language of the gentleman next to him don't help. It's like they are, well, I would say that embarrassed. This is a very formal way of standing, of course, but it's like having that chin so low. It's a bit of embarrassed, and well, it's just, in this case, he's almost hiding his chin under his shirt. I don't know how he managed it. I'm actually impressed about this. And they are all with their hands in the same position. I don't think they agree with the things that Gavin Newsom are saying. Maybe they just have to go with it. Maybe they have absolutely no say in this. That's why I don't want to. I don't like to focus on other people, but maybe they are just the minions, right? They have no actual, maybe they don't have no actual agency over the king, Gavin Newsom. But yes, Newsom was very wary of how he spoke. And that word salad, I'm going to mention that word salad. Notice how he was speaking in this fluid way that is important to compare with the final question, how he's going to react. And he was basically in control, not only of his wacky hands, except for the thumbs, but his words. But what happens when he's asked the actual question about red states? You know that he was already beginning to display some pacifying gestures, the finger on the corner of the eye. He knew that this was the question that was going to make the difference.
Red states that you say are higher, and at the same time, we're here because you're surging law enforcement across the state. So, do you believe that crime is a problem in California or not?
Okay, this is a great catch-22 question. If you say that you're ramping up security and law enforcement in California, are you acknowledging the fact that there's more crime in California The easiest way to answer that, if that is my would be my recommendation to anybody who gets asked that question, is to not talk in terms of criminality, but talk in terms of safety. You can say the exact same thing without saying the word crime. You could say, that's how I would have answered this, without really acknowledging the question itself. We are ramping up because we want Californians to feel as safe and as ever as they have always been. A lie, of course. We know that this is politics. One has to lie, and more often than not. But make sure that you talk in terms of safety and people feeling more safe. Making this groundbreaking safe state in all the United States. You want to play Trump's game. You want to go full hyperbolic. Don't do that only on Twitter, on social media. Go full on in your press conferences. But what happens to Gavin Newsom? I thought that he had, I don't know, a better silver tongue. Is that the way they say that? Silver tongue, the ability to just answer on the spot. And he acts like this. Notice his body language and the frequency of his voice, how it changes.
Well, sort of a curious question.
Sort of a curious question. Worst way to answer, it's a catch-22, right? Okay, you are ramping up security, so it's California actually in a crime wave. Yeah, it's a question designed to dismantle you, and you fail just by the very first word.
I made the entire point that crime's an issue and we want to tackle it, and we continue to do more in that space, and we announced and highlighted some of the expansion. What is not contradictory, respectfully, is that we're doing it in partnership with our local communities.
Why is he taking so long to say the same words that he said before along all the press conference, but in this case, organized along the topic that was asked? Okay, it would have been really simple. Again, he failed the test by answering in terms of crime. Now you have to answer in terms of safety. I'm not giving Gavin Newsom tips here. I don't think that he watches my channel or anything else. But it's so you understand that when you want to be persuasive, you have to know that the very same statement can be said from two different angles. And in this case, you could talk about, reducing criminality or making people feel safer. What do you think is going to sound more powerful, more confident, more everything? Yeah, that is the thing with Gavin. I think that he needs training. Maybe he can call me, but I'm way too expensive for him.
We did it in partnership with the Biden administration prior.
Oh, we know how that went.
We're not talking about the nationalization, the militarization of the Guard and militarizing United States cities. So quite the contrary.
Thank you, everyone.
We are not talking about militarizing or federalizing of United States cities. He opens up, the questions about the United States, not only California. He doesn't want to talk about California. And again, you saw the clip that I showed you about Donald Trump. Said all that Gavin Newsom has to say is to just pick up the phone and we will help him with security, with everything. But no, of course, that is like it's not a threat. There's another word for that. That's like a dare. I dare you. You just have to pick up the phone, but that is taking the bait. Because that would be acknowledging that California is out of control in terms of crime. And yes, Los Angeles, we have seen some crazy stuff as of late. So yeah, Gavin Newsom got himself into this. And Donald Trump is cornering him just with a few words, a few about his body language and a few about his, let's say, safety policies. And that's when he just bails out. You know what? I am out of here.
Not to get specific, the trafficking.
Yeah, he just bails out. Let's see the body language without any sound. Just to check, he crosses his fingers again. Let's focus on him now that we're not going to listen to any sound. I would say that he swallowed hard 1 second ago. begins leaning away from the journalist. You know that he also has that kind of rocking back and forth. When the more nervous he is, the more the widest the rocking back and forth becomes. It's something that he does, but in this case, you notice that he was not pleased. Maybe he already knew who was asking the question. You know how that happens. They know which journalists are going to ask the hard stuff, and he begins to rock one way and the other. And then he says, all right, so yes, about that is a curious question. He begins to think, and then he gives his usual, even in that very low quality video, we can spot that. Oh yeah, the Newsom green. And then he begins to play with his thumbs again. Of course, he tries to address everyone. But you heard how the words were coming out of his mouth compared to the previous section in which he was only giving his statement. It was calm and collected, and all of a sudden he began to speak like this.
In that space, and we announced and highlighted some of the expansion. What is not contradictory, respectfully, is that we're doing it in partnership with our local communities.
Again, you don't address the apparent contradiction. You act like it doesn't exist. I mean, I thought that Gavin Newsom could be better at public speaking. Maybe he has become more confident. It's like Kamala, those videos a long time ago, and the videos during the campaign was two different people. But what do I know? Let me know what you think about this in the comments. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Bad Language Guy. Much love and bliss.